Let's get the link. Got no one here yet. Doing a private stream. More patrons. Just talking to myself at this point. Let's see. I am sending the link. Patrons only. I already did it wrong. Link. URL. Paste. Link. Come. Say. And link again. Let's see. Okay. Send. All right. I'll probably be publishing this and you're just going to have, you will have just sat through 2 minutes of me playing on my computer and talking to myself. You're so patient. Okay. Oh, that was fast. Got 4 people here. Feel free to say hi. Thank you for being patient. I got started a little bit late. I got all set up, and then at the very last moment, I couldn't find my earbuds anywhere. So I was rushing around looking for them. Let's see. All right. Well, as you've probably noticed, I'm in bed right now. Yeah. I think I mentioned that this was going to be a relaxed chat. So this is how I do that. Reclining in bed. We got 2 likes. It looks like there are 6 people here. I can't see any comments yet. Oh, there it is. Sorry, everyone. I had it. It was set up in a way that I couldn't see the comments, but now I can. Hello, Poop, Tendies, 706 Easy, Whisper Science, and Keith Carrick. All right. Do you mean comments to the chat? Yeah, I forget. It's actually been a while since I've done a live stream. And it's been long enough that the last time I did it, it looked completely different from how it looks now. Let's see. So, yeah, so I believe I can actually see the chat now. I can see everyone saying howdy, and I'm excited that you're here, Poop. Good to see you, Whisper Science. And Keith, attendees, feel free to go to sleep anytime. Hi, Gaius in Iowa. Yeah, no, thank you, Brent Corn. I think I got it. Hi, Amy and Kenneth Murphy. Like some of you might have already heard this, but I'm obviously in bed, like in my PJs and a hoodie right now. I have had a really long week, and I'm actually planning on pretty much just rolling over and going straight to sleep when I'm done with the live stream. So I got very comfortable first. Um, I haven't gotten a good night's sleep in, it's been a while, and I'm determined to get a good night's sleep tonight. So that's why I'm in this super cozy setup right now. How are you all doing? Let's see. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you. Brenticorn, yeah. That was my assumption, that it was a play on some sort of unicorn. It's very majestic sounding. I love it. If you had a pair of aviators on, you'd look like the Unabomber. I feel like someone has surely made a ASMR roleplay along those lines. Surviving the winter here, it's been wild. Yeah, the winter's been really crazy in some parts of the country or the world. I'm not sure where you are. I am down here in Austin, and we get generally very, very mild winters. So, hey, were you the one who tweeted about Ancient Whispers? I was. For those of you who haven't checked her out, Ancient Whispers ASMR. I just discovered her recently. I think she's been making content for a few months at least, but she's really, really, really good. I've been watching her a lot lately. Does it snow in Texas? Very rarely. I don't think it's snowed in my part of Texas anyway this year. And then last winter, I think it snowed once or twice. Last winter, actually, it snowed and I was so excited for the snow. I had just had a baby a few weeks before, so I was not in great shape to begin with. And I was upstairs and I heard someone downstairs, either my husband or my son, saying that it was snowing. I got super excited, started to run down the stairs because I was going to go see the snow, and I slipped and I sprained my ankle really badly. And that was an adventure, trying to tend to a newborn with the badly sprained ankle. How is Sister Bean? She's doing okay. I'm probably not going to talk too much about that, just for privacy reasons. I'm not sure how much she would want me to disclose. Thank you for asking. She's doing okay, and she's in a situation where she's I guess stable, you would say, and she's in a situation where she's going to need a lot of monitoring, and she's going to have to be really careful and have a lot of supervision, a lot of testing for probably quite a while. But she's okay right now. Let's see. Yes, Ancient Whispers is wonderful. Brenticorn is in Minnesota. I have some friends in Minnesota, some Facebook friends. So I see photos of your legendary winters sometimes. After driving in a blizzard, you never want to see snow again. Yeah, well, I grew up, I spent the first 28 years of my life in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is no Minnesota, or, I know some other parts of the country or parts of the world are worse during the winter, but Massachusetts can get some pretty bad snowstorms. So if we're doing questions now, here's one I've always had. Are your open-ended sci-fi roleplays part of a shared universe you've put together, or just deliberately open-ended to make writing easy? So that's a great question. And I leave them open-ended. It's actually a very specific choice. I don't know how many of you we're going to go a little bit of a journey here to make this connection. But years and years ago in college, I read a book called Understanding Comics by Scott MacLeod. And in it, it's been a while since I've read it, so I apologize if I am not depicting the content I'm referring to precisely, but this is my recollection of it. There's a part where he talks about how illustrators make the choice to decide how much detail goes into a particular illustration of a character, right? So if you're drawing a comic and you have a character that you're going to draw, it can be anything from like just a circle with a line and a couple dots to make a smiley face. We'll recognize that as a face. Or it can be this super, super detailed, almost photorealistic drawing. And there's a whole range of styles in between. So what he mentioned is one of the things that goes into that choice is the fact that the simpler a character is, the more likely people are to be able to relate to it. So if it's this, just simple smiley face, essentially, then more people will be able to see themselves in that face or project their own feelings or ideas about the character onto that piece. Whereas if it's super, super hyper realistic, then that's something the artist has more control over. And that's something that I started noticing in novels as well. So even if it's just text, there will sometimes be a description of a character where it's just, Stephen King wrote about this too, where it's just like a couple distinct elements. Like the author might be describing a character and might mention something about them having like, a narrow nose and thick reddish hair. It might just be a few distinct elements. Again, the idea being that if they just give a little bit of detail, then it's going to be the reader's job to put in most of the work to imagine that character. Whereas if the author puts in a ton of detail and just describes everything, then that's something the author has more control over. So my feeling, but the way I like to do ASMR role plays is I like to include just enough specific detail so that it feels like a complete fleshed out character and a complete fleshed out world. But I like to leave enough open-ended so that the viewer is an active part of creating that world and sort of engaging their own imagination to fill out the story and to fill out the character so that there's a lot of room for people to make the story what they want it to be or what's most relevant to them. Okay, that was really long. Thank you for the patience. But that's usually my thinking behind most of my like sci-fi role plays and stuff like that, is that I want just enough specificity but not too much. And that's actually a big part of why I've been stuck on the next Welcome to the Commune episode, because the more episodes I do of something, the harder it gets to maintain that feel of wanting to have just enough detail without including so much that it cancels out any opportunity for the viewer to fill it in the way that they want. That's the plot behind Hello Kitty looks the way it does. Okay. So I'm pretty impressed. That's actually surprising complex writing technique. It's usually done in the horror genre, so seeing it applied somewhere else is awesome. Yeah, I think one version, like later on, that I had read about that was in, I think it was Stephen King's On Writing. He talked about that concept. So I'm protagonist in video games. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you. It does allow us to argue over why future beings extract quantum whatnot. Yeah, it's interesting because some stories more than other, I may go into it with my idea of what's going on in the story. but usually it's not like, I don't know, in a TV series or something like that, where the writers maybe have an end game in mind, where they're like, all will be revealed later. I will have options sometimes, like if I include some sort of, I'm thinking of the You're My Favorite Android one. Like there were a few elements in that one where I said a couple things that seemed indicative of there being more to the story. And I did have an idea of what I thought that might be. So if I do go further with it, I have the option of filling that in. I'm not just basing it on anything. But again, I'm careful about what I do want to include and what I don't, so that I don't paint you, the viewer, into a corner if you want to take it somewhere else. I'm in a Discord community where I end up helping people writing certain stuff. That's surprisingly difficult concept to explain to people. Yeah, I am. So I've done a lot of college over the years. I do have one 4-year degree, and at that school, I got my bachelor's in theater performance, but I minored in creative writing. So to get that minor, that program did involve a lot of writing workshops. So that's very much its own experience, not just learning to write, but working with other people who are also learning to write. It's a very unique dynamic that requires its own set of skills. Have you ever read, is that recitative? Short story about race and racism, but it's not clear what race any of the characters are. That's interesting. Recitative. Is that like a music thing? Maybe? But no, Joe, I haven't read that, but that sounds interesting. We ever know what the idea for You're My Favorite Android was? I still keep coming up with theories for what it could have been. I'm honestly not sure. I might take it further, but again, it's with these videos, a lot of times I get people asking me to make more because they want to know more. And I just really get caught between deciding whether or not I want to give those answers or whether I like leaving it open. Check off. We're talking about the Star Trek Chekhov or the author? Who wrote one of my favorite stories, favorite short stories, although I can't remember the name of it right now. It takes place on a ship. So I saw your live stream was 2016. I think you were deciding on whether to go to nursing school. Any update? I'm still in a tough place with that. So what had happened is a few years ago, I was on track to go to nursing school. I was doing a pre-nursing program, which involved a lot of intensive like anatomy, physiology, microbiology, pharmacology, stuff like that. And I loved it and I was thriving. And I felt like that was the first time in my life that I was really learning how to be a good student. Because when I was younger, I really struggled with sciences and maths, stuff like that. But this time around, I kind of reapplied myself in a different way and I was doing really well with it and feeling so good about myself. And also I was just interested in going into the profession. But then I kind of came to a little bit of a crossroads in my life. Sorry, let me know if I wind up making any obnoxious noises with the mic. But I got to a place where I wound up getting remarried, and I knew that I wanted to have more children. So I kind of had to decide, do I want to put my nursing education on hold and have kids now, or do I want to get through nursing school and then decide to have kids? This is all really personal stuff that I'm sharing with you. But ultimately, it was really hard because I felt like I had this great momentum going with my nursing program. I even did this really challenging standardized test. I forget what it's called, but it's a standardized test to get into nursing schools. And I killed it. I did so good at it. I was the first person among like, I don't know, there had to be at least 70 people taking this test in this area with me. And I was the first one to finish. And I did great at it. And I know it sounds like I'm bragging, but just keep in mind, this is coming from someone who had horrible struggles with math and science my whole life. So I was so proud of myself that I'd come so far with it. And I got great scores, which meant that I probably wouldn't have to be put on the waiting list for the program that I wanted. They'd probably be letting me right in. But yeah, so I already had one child with my ex-husband at this point, and I had to decide whether I wanted to start trying to have more or whether I wanted to wait until I was done with nursing school. My fear being that if I did start having kids then that I might never go back to nursing school. But kind of two big things really played into that decision. One of them being that because I had another child who I think was about 4 years old at that time, I think anyone with a bunch of kids knows that when you have a young child, a lot of things on life get put on hold for a few years. There are just certain things you can't do with small children, like, or most people can't, or can't do easily. Like you can't go on vacations. There's just, and a lot of little things too that you can't do. And every time you have another child and add a new small child to your life, you're kind of resetting that timer for, how many years it'll be before you can start doing certain things again. So the idea of waiting a few years until I was done with nursing school, I was kind of struggling with the idea of, my oldest child being maybe 8 years old or something, and then starting over again with a baby again. That was really intimidating to me based on just kind of the stuff I want to do with my life. And then also, I'm really tired. I'm sorry, where was I going with this? So that was a big decision. And then only talking about one of the biggest decisions of my life and forgetting my other big reason for deciding how I did. Oh, so the other big reason is that my body is really, really bad at being pregnant. I had a really tough, I had a tough pregnancy with my first. And to the point where it was like a little bit traumatizing. One thing a lot of people don't know is that prenatal depression is actually about as common as postpartum depression. It's not reported as much, I think, for a lot of complicated different reasons. But physically, I just tend to get pretty much every unpleasant, miserable, painful, nauseating pregnancy symptom there is for like the entire pregnancy. And then also my mental and emotional health suffer pretty severely. So there was a part of me that just, the idea of knowing that that was ahead of me again, that I was going to try and go through that again, was very daunting and intimidating. And there was part of me that just, this is a horrible way to talk about having kids, I know, but part of me just kind of wanted to get it over with, so I could stop being scared of it. So I ultimately did decide to put nursing school on hold, and I had my daughter, and that pregnancy was actually even harder than my first as far as just all the symptoms. And then also my prenatal and postpartum depression being even worse. It was debilitating. And that was also a complicated end of the pregnancy and delivery. I don't know how many of you knew this or remember this, but I actually had to have an emergency C-section. I think it was 6 weeks early, 5 or 6 weeks early. because she something happened in the womb and she was losing a lot of blood and she actually almost didn't make it. So without getting into the gory details, I actually had a really traumatic delivery with her. And then again, not too long after that, I knew I wanted to have one more child. Even after all that, I had this instinct that I just really needed to have one more kid. And again, after how bad that pregnancy was, I was terrified to go through it again. So I was like, I'm just going to dive in and get it done because I just want the part of my life that involves being pregnant to be over. And it's really hard to talk about because I know there's so many people out there who struggle with infertility. So I hate talking about my pregnancy in a way that sounds ungrateful. I'm so grateful for the fact that I didn't have that much of a struggle conceiving my children. But my pregnancies, very simply, they were traumatic. They were really, really bad. And then I also had postpartum depression with all three of my kids. So my youngest is, he just turned 15 months recently. And it's only been in recent months that I've like finally really gotten out of the woods of postpartum depression this time around. I don't know if y'all have noticed that in the past couple months, I've started to make videos a little bit more. I'm starting to have a little more energy, but that's my very, very long personal story. Aren't you glad you asked? Okay, I'm going to scroll back a little bit. This is really nice having this small group. There's 18 of you. In the past, when I've done these live streams that were just open and public, I can't keep up with the comments. They fly by. And I know I miss comments and I feel really bad about it, but I'm able to keep up with this. That pause. Wait, what was the last one I saw? Scrolling back. All right. Have you ever tried tabletop games like Dungeons and Dragons? Seems like a group would be lucky to have you playing a character. Why, thank you. So I seem like I've always had friends, people in my life. I've like dated people and had friends who were really into tabletop games and role-playing games, that kind of stuff. It's, for whatever reason, it's something I've never connected with that much, but I've definitely sat in on a lot of games over the years or had friends or partners who were into it. So it's something that has kind of always been in my life, but not something I've directly participated with much. And then as far as some types of, I'm not sure if this would count as a tabletop game, but I've known a lot of people over the years too who are into Magic the Gathering. And I have, in general, I kind of have this problem where it takes me a really long time to learn new skills or to like learn rules to games is a big thing for me. So something like Magic the Gathering or other popular games like what's it called? Settlers of Catan, something like that. These types of games I think look really cool, but it takes me so long and so much repetition to understand the rules to get it to like click in my brain. So I'm usually too embarrassed to sit down and try it with a group because I'm the one who has to keep over and over again being like, wait, what am I supposed to do? What does this mean? So something I've actually been meaning to do for years. I've been wanting to find some sort of like one person because I eventually learned Settlers of Catan. I don't know how to pronounce it. I eventually learned how to play that by playing, I think there's like an Xbox version of it, but being able to like do a tutorial like that in a video game frame on my own where I could really take my time with it, that's how I finally learned it. And I've been meaning to do the same thing with Magic the Gathering, like find some like mobile game or computer game version of it where I can take my time and finally figure it out. My keyboard is acting up. Could that possibly be a Patreon feature? That way the wider public can keep things vague, but any patrons that are more curious about your idea in their own immersion can decide for themselves. I get that, and I agree that that sounds like a neat feature, but I think that part of me that can be a little bit of a control freak and a little bit of a like weirdo artist is still like this is my creation and I have a vision for it, because I have a vision for these things. So it's, the decision about whether or not I want to keep things vague is a lot of that is to do with just my, there's got to be a better word for it, but my idea of how I want to present it. More share with you, but not the public. Hate to have to run, so soon after you started, but I have to take off. Bye, Kenneth. Yeah, I don't mean to controversial this video. Autism coming through, but I've honestly never been able to comprehend a reason to have children. I just can't understand it. Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of reasons, and there are obviously a lot of people for whom it's not right. And I think it's so important to never in any way pressure people who don't want kids to want them because there are so many things that make it challenging and daunting, and it's extraordinarily hard even for people who desperately want to and are very committed. So I don't know. I'm not going to go into all my reasons for it. I have a lot of reasons, and then it's also just, I think, largely an instinctual thing. Why have you lived in Austin? I haven't lived there since 2008, but maybe move back. Is it still as good as it used to be? Okay, so I've lived in Austin for a little over 8 years now. And I think the consensus among longtime Austinites is that no, it is not as good as it used to be. It has grown a lot and changed a lot. Even just in the time I've been here, it's changed a lot. It's got a lot more expensive. And it's got a lot more of a like actual city vibe than like when I see old pictures of downtown Austin, especially. It's one of those things where it was like technically a city, but kind of looked almost more like just a very developed big town, if that makes sense. But it's, yeah, I still love it, and I'm still very happy to be here and to be raising children here. But from what I hear from all my friends who have been here for a very long time or who've grown up here is that they have a lot of difficult and sad feelings about all the ways that it's changed. This stream is what the Danes call. I recognize that word. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's that kind of like warm, cozy feeling, right? I'm glad to hear that. Except a D&D game in that Discord server you were considering if you ever want to give it a try. Yeah, so I'm still learning how to be good at Discord. Like I'm a member of a few other Discords. I'm still slowly, again, with me, it takes me a while to learn how to be good at something. And I am leaning very strongly towards, yes, I do want to have a patron Discord, but I also don't want to launch it until I feel pretty confident that I understand how to do it well and that I understand all its features and everything. I had my second child in 2016, and your first doula ASMR video was almost on repeat during my third trimester. Aw, I'm really glad that that helped you. My doula videos are a sort of more specific example of this very specific way that making these videos helps me a lot. Obviously, it's about helping all you. But I do like for you all to understand how much these videos help me, because with my pregnancy videos, I was able to take my experiences with pregnancy, which were really, really rough and use that insight to feel like I had a lot of good ideas for what other people might want to hear during their pregnancies, especially if they're having a tough time. So I use those experiences to make these videos, and then hearing comments like yours that you used it during your pregnancy, and reading comments from people who said that it was really helpful or that it made them feel good. Um, Knowing that I I don't know if I got this phrase from somewhere, if I made it up myself, but um, I call it psychological alchemy, where I take kind of challenges or traumas from my past and I break them down into pieces and I reframe them into these videos that are hopefully helpful for other people. And being able to use it that way then reframes my own perspective of what I've been through. Because I think, unfortunately, for a lot of people, when we look back on really painful things we've been through, um, there can be so many negative feelings. And I still have, tough feelings about painful things I've been through. But if I weren't making videos, I might look back on some of this stuff and just see, um, pain or wasted time or mistakes or missed opportunities or all these negative things that would make me just kind of wish them away. But because in a lot of instances I've been able to use my experiences to make stuff that is helpful for other people, then it's like I got something out of it, like I got something positive out of it. So when I look back on these things, even though they might still really be painful, I sort of recontextualize them in a way that makes them less painful to look back at. If that makes sense. Do you have any Persian friends? I'm trying to think. Not that I know of. Are you Persian? I have a good friend who's Lebanese, but I can't think of any Persian friends I have off the top of my head. There's only one important rule for subject. Screw for everyone else. Nicholas! Oh. Comments disappear. Oh, I'm glad you're here for a second, buddy. I don't know how many of you have seen Nicholas's videos, but I've been watching him for quite a while. He's great. And he's also an extremely talented musician and works that into his videos sometimes, which is always a treat. Were you ever camera shy, if I may ask? I still get nervous sometimes, and I still get nervous around cameras if I'm not the person in control of the camera. Like sometimes people will say to me like, "Oh, I don't know how you do it. Like I could never do what you do. I'd be too shy or nervous or anxious." And I like to point out to people that I have so much control over it. I set up the camera, I set up the angles. In this in this instance, I'm not wearing any, makeup or special outfits or anything, but like I can choose to do that. Live is actually a little bit more of a leap for me because I don't have as much control over this. But with most of my stuff that I publish on YouTube, if I mess up or have a silly mistake or any sort of embarrassing or uncomfortable thing happens, I can edit that out. I have a lot of control over what ultimately you see. So I kind of like to stop people if they try to compliment me for being brave because it doesn't feel as brave to me as it sounds to some people. But back when I very first started making ASMR videos, I was super, super anxious to record my first few videos. So I did actually make some practice ones. I had a random friend who I would send kind of video journals to almost. And I do these little kind of practice videos, and I would practice looking in the camera and talking to him, and sometimes doing little hand motions like, oh, like touching your face now and going down your nose, boop, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's easy to forget how nerve-wracking it was for me in the beginning, but it was. Although I still do get nervous now sometimes. It depends on what I'm about to record. Have you ever been surprised by which of your videos get the most views? All the time. All the time. I've gotten to the point where I can make a pretty good guess with some things. Like I kind of can feel pretty confident now that if I make a like an ear exam video, that's going to do pretty well. You know, a lot of my medical role plays, I can be pretty confident are going to do well. And then sometimes some of my videos, I will have this instinct where I'm like, yeah, I think this one's really going to take off. And then it doesn't. It'll get like, you know, like 10 to 20,000 views. Not that that's bad in the grand scheme of things, but you know, considering that my more successful videos get over 100,000 views or more, it'll just be unexpected. I'm trying to think if I can think of one that did really well where I was not expecting it. I mean, my first otoscope video, I wasn't sure how that was going to do, and that one really took off. That one has had like 1 or 2 million views now. And I don't know how many of you have seen my glue peeling video, but I did a video a while back where I peeled glue off of my hands. And not only did it get a lot of views, but it's I think the one video I have where it had a little bit of a crossover effect. And there were a lot of people who, this was kind of, I don't know YouTube well enough to say this for sure. I'm not well read enough on YouTube or well viewed enough, but it was more towards the beginning of people doing strangely satisfying content. That stuff is everywhere now. At the time, I hadn't seen that much of it. So I wasn't expecting to get all these non-ASMR viewers watching this video, and a lot of them did. And that's the only video where I've ever really gotten a lot of like, why is she whispering comments and stuff like that. Let's see. I gotta catch up. Hugely. Where's the emphasis in there? Is it hugely? 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 On that note of videos helping with painful experiences, I'd just like to say thanks for all the help with migraines, among other things. Thank you. Kiltrick? I pronounced that right. I haven't been doing too bad in recent months, but I have had problems with chronic migraines at different points in my life, to the point where I actually have a prescription for, I think it's Imitrex or whatever the generic is of that, but I actually have to get the injectable version that you like stick into your leg fat and inject it in there, because my migraines get so bad that I get really, really sick, and I can't take pills for it because I'll, you know, even if I just have a sip of water, it's going to come up. But yeah, I've been doing okay recently, but yeah, I have problems with migraines. So I feel like I am pretty good at making migraine videos. I get really anxious saying I'm good at anything. I should be okay with that. I feel like I'm pretty good at making migraine relief videos. And a big part of that for me is that I have the experience of having migraines and watching ASMR videos to help with my migraines. So I, have had the experience on many occasions of watching ASMR migraine videos and either saying, yes, this is working great, or I wish they would do this, and then incorporating that into my videos. Do you continue to act in local theater? I miss it. I don't have too many grand long-term plans. I do have an idea of how I might like to do things in like 5, 10, 20 years when my kids are getting older and a little more independent. But I would very much love to get back into acting later on. Whether that's in local theater, which I do love, but then also Austin has a pretty good film scene too, and I actually have a lot of friends who are engaged in the film community in one way or another. So yeah, I kind of do have that in the back of my head that I very, very much want to get back into it, but that I probably won't be able to be involved in other people's productions for at least a few years. Although I get so happy even just thinking about it. One thing that I have done to kind of satisfy that need is I have been trying to create more opportunities in my videos on this ASMR channel. I've been trying to create more opportunities to kind of stretch my acting muscles a little bit more. I don't know how many of you saw that sneak preview that I posted of like the twin video. It's actually going to be clones. But like I got to do a little bit of acting in that, and that was really fun and satisfying. I'm a photographer and I become a little on edge when I have a camera pointed at me. I think that's really normal. I've known some photographers and most of them do not enjoy having the camera turned on them. Yeah, the camera you're not in control of. Hi, you're playing games. Hi, JB. Just want to say thank you for all the hard work and humor you put into your videos. Worth staying up at 2 a.m. in the UK to say hi for you. I didn't realize this. My daughter has not fallen asleep yet. She's like a couple rooms over and she's kind of just yelling out joyfully from bed occasionally. So if you hear like a weird high-pitched noise, yeah, that's my little angel. Do you have any non-YouTube plans in your visions? Yes. I always have a lot of projects going on. One project that I've currently started thinking about and outlining is actually a workbook. I don't know how much I want to talk about it because it's still in its early stages, but I have this creative project that I think will be really helpful for a lot of people, and it's kind of a workbook type thing. And I'm still even deciding whether or not it's something I want to do by myself or maybe bring in a partner or two on it, because I do think it's something that will be a lot easier to do with another person. But that's kind of like its own risk and commitment involving other people in a project you're really passionate about. So I will, if I move further forward with that one, I'll tell you all more about that. Please don't use a green screen for the commune video. Where'd it go? Please don't use a green screen for the commune video. It means the energy clicking bits. Yeah, I mean, the green screen sometimes can compromise a few different triggers. I actually, the next time I record a commune video, I may actually have an opportunity to do so in a location for which I could actually just use the natural environment, like the room I'd be recording in, instead of a green screen. So again, I don't want to say too much about that because I don't want to promise anything that I can't hold up on, but I am actually specifically hoping to not have to use a green screen the next time I make one. Say thank you so much for not being tap happy in your videos, as I like to call it. I can't stand all the random annoying sounds in other people's videos lately. I have to get comfortable. Sorry, my arm is falling asleep. So yeah, I don't know how many of you use the ASMR subreddit. There was a thread a little while back on someone asking what people's biggest pet peeves were in ASMR videos. And I was a little nervous to read it because I was like, oh no, what if everyone's hating on things that I love to do? But I mean, that was inevitable. There were a lot of people participating. But that kind of stuff can be really useful to read too. But that, I think I remember being a really popular one that a lot of people mention that they don't like it when there's too much tapping or when it's like forced tapping. I do like to include a little bit here and there, but yeah, it's not something that bothers me. I watch a ton of ASMR and I'm having a hard time thinking of any instances where I've been like, too much tapping. But I can understand why it's something that would bother some people. Let's see. I was just going to say your glue video has nearly 300,000 views. I haven't looked at it in a while, but yeah, it got a lot more views than I was expecting. Glue peeling is weird and satisfying. Yeah, that's something where okay, I'm remembering now. So I had watched an ASMR video with another artist where there was like a piece of, I think, wood or like a log in the video. And I just happened to notice, I'm sorry, I can't get comfortable. Ugh. And I just happened to notice that there was like a little piece of the bark that was like peeling back a little bit. And I got so distracted during this video because I was just like praying that the artist would like peel the piece of bark off. And they didn't. Bummer. But that's kind of what inspired me. I started thinking about how odd it is that some people find peeling really, really satisfying. And that had me thinking about how in grade school, I know this is kind of like a shared experience for a lot of people, that in grade school, I loved it when I would get like a little bit of glue on my hands, they would dry and I could peel it off. So that's why I decided to make that video. At the time, because I checked, I always, if I think I'm coming up with a new ASMR idea, I always check to see if anyone else has done it before. Everyone wants to have an opportunity to like be the first person to try something. And there was, at that time, when I searched for it, I could find one other ASMR channel that had done a glue peeling video. So I was the, I think, second person to think of it. The reason I didn't think I would like glue peeling videos because it would probably give me horrible memories of trying to put my Warhammer. Oops. The hue is more like who and shoe. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go on YouTube a little bit later and I'm going to search for how to pronounce it because I think actually hearing someone else pronounce it is probably the best way to go. Do you agree with the origin theory bit in the Times article you were featured in? So for those of you who were not aware, I was recently in a Washington Post article about ASMR, and it was specifically about women using ASMR to comfort themselves during pregnancy. There are a few quotes in there from Dr. Craig Richard, who runs the website ASMR University, which you should absolutely check out. It's an amazing resource if you're interested at all in the like sort of analytical, scientific end of ASMR. But he talked a little bit about this origin theory thing where, if I'm remembering correctly, he's talking about ASMR and being related to the feelings of comfort that we get, like as little babies when we're being cared for, essentially. I think I'm representing the quote reasonably well. But it's one of those things where, first of all, I can promise you that Dr. Richard has done approximately probably 50 times more thinking and reading and researching about ASMR than I have. So this is very much just my own opinion, but I think there is very much something to that. I know that for me, my earliest memories of experiencing ASMR are associated with being cared for when I was a small child, like, my mom taking care of me when I'm sick, that kind of stuff. So, and I see that from a lot of other people who have ASMR. They kind of say the same thing, that that's their association with it. That's what it most reminds them of, or that's kind of their, yeah, but it's one of those correlation causation things where it's not necessarily, I don't know that this is necessarily what he was saying, but I don't think we necessarily develop ASMR from being cared for as tiny children. I think it still might be something even more encoded than that. That those are our earliest memories, a lot of us. I should pull this up. So I wear a Fitbit, and it tracks my sleep. And I'm not going to pull it up, but it it can actually give me graphs of how much sleep I've gotten lately, and it's like horrifying. My point being, again, that I'm super sleep deprived right now, so I feel like I'm not being as well spoken as I would like to be. My brain's not super sharp right now. Also, I commented this on the video, but so I lost it. And Spanin, is that how you pronounce it? And Spanin, like, video was so exciting. Fluffles. Yeah, I don't know if this is necessarily what you're referring to, but one of my earliest favorite ASMR channels and my biggest influences is, now I'm going to get the channel. I think it's Whispering in Blue. I think it's lowercase, all one word, Whispering in Blue. But she had a couple of those videos that made a huge impression on me. And I've actually been meaning to cover one of her videos, and she actually gave me permission to cover one of her videos. So that's something that's been a project that I've had in the works for a while now. Hey, Jay Franklin Evans. I'm going to try and, I'm really taking my time with these responses. I apologize if I'm putting any of you to sleep. For the first time ever, I'm sorry if I'm putting you to sleep. Normally I'm trying to do that, but not right now. I've been meaning to comment as well. That video you're teaching and talking to students off screen was really fantastic and really enhanced the personal attention. I was so excited. I've done 2 of those now. And I was so excited with the first one, especially, that people connected with it, because that was something I'd put a lot of thought into. And it kind of had some theory behind it, where I was like, oh, I wonder if, the feeling of having many eyes on you will like intensify the, will like intensify the ASMR effect. And a lot of people connected with it, and I was so happy that my instincts paid off. They don't always. Machine gun tapping is one of my anti-triggers. To clarify, I'm assuming you're meaning like fast tapping and not someone like tapping on a machine gun. But I don't know if I would enjoy either of those, to be fair. Clarifying the tapping thing a little bit is fine, but especially in role plays where you could go out of the way just to sit there and tap for almost a minute just shatters the experience. yeah, it's interesting with role plays because even though we know that this is like an imaginary experience that we're agreeing to engage in, it's really interesting how different people have different levels of. Everyone has a different point where they will break it off. What's the word I'm looking for? Suspension of disbelief. Some people need more than others. Some people need it to be like super realistic, every detail very carefully thought out, or they'll lose it. And then some people need very little at all to dive in and commit. But yeah, I can get that. Like the forced tapping can, disrupt the suspension of disbelief for some people. Out of curiosity, is there anyone in chat here who vehemently disagrees with it and actually likes a lot of tapping? Mark says, for me, it depends somewhat on what is being tapped and the rate. If it's random metallic, it's just the thing for me. Which is why I'm building a tap bot. That sounds mysterious and awesome. And I've just wanted to make sure other perspectives weren't afraid to speak up. When did you first notice ASMR was a thing? Oddly enough, mine was the voice acting, the Eldar in the game of Dawn of War. So I'm not sure if you're asking when I first noticed that ASMR existed as a named phenomenon, or when I first experienced sensations of what we now call ASMR. So the first thing was shortly after my oldest child was born. My sister was visiting me, and my sister and I both experienced ASMR. And it's something we discussed in the past on a few different occasions. And she was just like, that feeling we both get from like guided meditations and movie scenes where people are talking really softly, like there's a name for it, and people make videos. So that's when I learned about that, and very quickly it became a incredible passion of mine. But my earliest memories of feeling ASMR sensations, they're kind of scattered throughout my childhood, and it's a combination of like being cared for by my mom when I was sick. I was sick a lot as a kid. I remember also, despite being so sick and having to go to the doctor a lot, I actually kind of liked going to the doctor. I enjoyed the attention, and that feeling of being cared for and looked at very carefully. And then also just my sister and I, just the way we play pretend with each other, sometimes just like carefully and quietly triggering each other's ASMR response without really even understanding that was a thing. We were just doing what felt good. Let's see. And spamming. I send my husband my Fitbit sleep graphs when I get sweaty points. Yeah, I think, I'm trying to remember when it was. There was a period where I went a few months without wearing my Fitbit. There was one day where I, picked up my phone and I looked at my sleep graph, and I just got so upset. I was in the throes of like postpartum depression at this point too, but I was so upset at how absolutely dismal my sleep record had been for the previous week that I took my Fitbit off and I just like hurled it across the room, and I didn't put it back on for a few months because it was just, the sleep deprivation when you have small children. It can literally be torture. It can make you really, really sick and really mess with your brain. And it just got to a point where I was like, I don't want to know. I just don't want to know. Knowing makes it worse. I don't want to know exactly how little sleep I'm getting. At Spannon is how Whispering in Blue originally pronounced it. I still listen to her videos despite it being years since her last one. Yeah, they're so good. Y'all check out, that's your homework. Check out Whispering in Blue if you haven't before. So good. Awesome. Classic. Audio only. That's fine for me. I love audio only. I made just a voiceover video that was like, I can't remember which one it was. That's a good question. I'm not sure which one it is either. I've made a lot of videos at this point, and it's interesting. I think I've mentioned this before, but you know, I put a lot of time into my videos when I'm making them and editing them, but then I don't really look at them much after I've made them. So if there's a video of mine that you like and you've watched it a few times, you're probably more familiar with it than I am. So yeah, I'm not sure which one that is, but I like doing videos that are audio only. And despite the fact that I know some people don't like this, I really like doing videos that start off with like live video, and then I contrive for some reason or another to be off camera for the majority of the video. Just for a few different reasons. It's a choice. I mean, ultimately, I want to help people relax and fall asleep, and I know that people love visual triggers, and I would never remove those from my channel. I want to provide a lot of those too, but for some videos, I really just want to encourage people to close their eyes. Oh yeah, that reminds me, I had a role play idea, but as usually, it sounds kind of strange. Let's see another comment from you below, so I think you're getting to that. I'm going to do another hypnotism video. I keep going back to that one of yours over and over again. It's a personal favorite. Yes, I've been wanting to do more hypnosis videos. That's the kind of thing I want to be a little careful with, because anything that verges on something that could be, like I've had people ask if I do a therapist role play, like a talk therapist role play. And I know hypnotism isn't quite the same thing, but with stuff like that, I just want to be really, really careful, because I'm not a mental health professional, or I'm not, any kind of, by some people's definition, I might be, but I am not any kind of trained mental health professional. So with stuff like hypnotism, I just want to be like, I feel like it can start to slide into shaky ground there as far as me doing stuff that I'm not qualified to do and might be irresponsible. So actually, I've been trying to learn more about just basic hypnosis, and I've been wanting to do more of that. So the answer is yes, I do want to do more of that, but I'm trying to learn a little bit more and do a little more research first. Betty Kitty Volpies. I forgot about her. Oh, she's so good. I need to watch some of her videos. Virtual spa video with 2012 was my first hit. Pack for ASMR head knitting. I love these like these little time travel conversations talking about classic videos from creators who I watched back when I first started watching ASMR. I was watching the movie Escape from Alcatraz. I haven't seen that in a while, but I have seen it a couple times. Hopefully half of it's background noise and the sound of the actors working their escape. So the idea was I'm digging out of my cell role play. That's really interesting, because that would obviously be a really good conceit to be talking very softly. I think, again, my brain is not very sharp right now. So if you could do me a huge favor, Jason, and like message me with that idea so I can look at it again once I've had some sleep and add it to my list. I will think about that, even if it's not that exactly. I like it. I think the one challenge would be to do it in a way that it wouldn't automatically be inaccessible to anyone who has my poor brain. The thing where you're scared of small places. I know agoraphobia is like fear of open spaces. Someone's probably saying it down below. But yeah, that fear, I wouldn't want to automatically make it inaccessible to people who are really uncomfortable with claustrophobia, with tight closed-in spaces. But then again, stuff like that, like I know people with anxiety at the dentist like watching ASMR dental videos sometimes, because it helps them to like reframe it and create positive associations with something that normally makes them nervous. So that's really interesting. I think there's a lot to think about there. I considered something Jurassic Park related for a video, not a clue what it would be, but among my friends who experience ASMR, we all universally like Jurassic Park. Yeah, so Jurassic Park is actually one of my all-time favorite movies. I don't know if you've noticed it in my videos, but I do have a big Jurassic Park tattoo on my arm. And it was actually like emotionally and developmentally, I was 12 when it came out. And I have really powerful memories of seeing it in the movie theater and really powerful memories of the ways that it affected me in the days following it. But that movie means a lot to me. And yeah, I would like to do something with it at that point, at some point, but I would need to think about it more. Maybe some work in the Jurassic Park hatchery, carefully handing baby for raptors. That's super, super cute. Maybe. I should be taking notes. I'm not gonna though. I should be. I'm not gonna take notes. Too much to handle right now. When he's using that pick that could be welded together in the cell. Cool. Okay, we're going back and forth between movies. Yeah. Freshly hatched raptor they're cleaning up. That sounds so cute. That's a really cute setup. So, okay, not Whispering in Blue, but Amy, is it Blue Whispers? Pretty sure her channel name is Blue Whispers. She did a video a while back where it was like a Harambe themed video where the viewer, I think was supposed to be Harambe, and she was like, was she shaving or like tending to? But it was like kind of clever and sassy idea. What do you think about the mainstreaming of ASMR? Like the celebrities do ASMR series, not just the articles. I have mixed feelings about it. To try and make a short answer out of it, I think that the mainstreaming of ASMR is ultimately more of a good thing than a bad thing, because I believe really firmly that ASMR is something that can help a lot of people who could use the help in a really meaningful way. So I think that getting it out there, getting its existence out there and normalizing it a little bit does a lot of good. And then there are also downsides to it too. You know, I do sometimes miss the feeling of it being a smaller community. I mean, I think anyone who's been watching for a few years knows that there are things to miss about, you know, the early years. But overall, I think it's a good thing. I'm so sorry if I'm burping a little bit. I'm trying not to. I don't know if it's my exhaustion or what, but there's some stuff going on. Springbok was the first one I heard of. Springbok. Springbok has an awesome voice. I personally love the audio only ones because I usually have my phone screen covered. Okay, I'm gonna start trying to speed through a little bit because I want to catch up. I'll try and sleep and listening to them. I also like some preamble. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing for me because I really want to make videos that you all will love. You know, there's the part of me that wants to make videos that will please as many people as possible. And I do take all your feedback into account, but ultimately my policy has been to make the types of videos that I would want to watch. And you know, I think that's the way to go for me. And I also like videos. You know, that's the way I like to watch ASMR videos. I like it when I can watch for a few minutes and then, you know, turn the screen off and just put it face down and just listen until I fall asleep. I don't want to play mental health pro on YouTube. Yeah, I don't. Or if I do, I want it to be something I'm very, very carefully put together. We've been involved in mental health treatment for a long time, and I've really learned about business. Yeah. No, I mean, I've been in and out of therapy since I was a kid. So I do know a lot about it from that perspective. But again, I'm not trained. So I would want to be very careful about, you know, inadvertently putting anything in anyone's head that could harm them in some way. Possibly around the mental health professional issue could be for you to possibly, as a college student, that you could. Yeah, I think there are ways around it. It's just something I would want to be really thoughtful about. Claustrophobia. Yes, thank you. Sleep deprivation is real and turns your brain into, jeez, I'm being so exhausted and just angry that everyone else in the world is just getting so much sleep. Yep. That was a big part of my prenatal and postpartum depression. And in addition to just the, all the chemical stuff that was going on that was making me depressed, I dealt with so many body issues and like pain issues when I was pregnant and postpartum that made it even harder to sleep. So during pregnancy, for quite a while after pregnancy, I was so sleep deprived and so depressed. And yeah, anger was a big part of that, because I don't normally think of myself as like an especially angry person. Although, I mean, having had 3 children, I've actually had 4 pregnancies over the past few years, but having had 3 children over the past few years, it seems the math doesn't quite add up, but in my head, it feels like I've been either prenatal or postpartum more often than I haven't been. But yeah, anger is one of those things that can come out of being sleep deprived and depressed. That's, I think, one of the hardest things to cope with, because I know that there are parts of depression that make me miserable and they're really hard to deal with. But then the parts of depression, like anger, that can potentially hurt other people. That's the worst. That's the hardest for me. The person escape one, maybe your character could have claustrophobia themselves. Oh, that's smart. I like that. The video could be you dealing with it. Yeah. I mean, there is the possibility, again, I would need to be really careful, but I think if the viewer is watching me be anxious, even if they don't have claustrophobia, that might make them anxious. But I could maybe be someone who's overcome claustrophobia. I don't know. That's a good concept to work into it, though. Think about that. How do you introduce ASMR to someone who's never heard of it, but you believe they could benefit from, without weirding them out? Well, first of all, usually tingles tends to be a word that creeps people out if you introduce it too early in. For a while now, when I've told people about ASMR videos, I've used other descriptive words. I refer to ASMR as a niche genre of relaxation video. And I talk about the videos giving this really intense feeling, like I'll say this cascading feeling of well-being or something like that, but just kind of finding other creative ways to discuss the sensations or the feelings that aren't close enough synonyms to like sexual feelings that people are going to be like, whoa, that's a fetish thing. A lot of them usually will anyway, but there are ways to minimize the possibility of that. The entire prison escapes that could be a large blank scene in Die Hard, Clancy and Ducks. Someone just did that. Yeah, Phoenician Sailor. Actually, I believe, I haven't seen it yet, but I believe Phoenician Sailor recently did a John McClane in the Air Duct video. You should probably know that your videos massively help me come off my meds for panic disorder I've been watching since the dentist video and anytime phone got creeping up. I watched that. It's awesome. And it makes me feel really good to hear. I'm glad that I was able to help you a little bit with that. And I'm glad that ASMR was able to help you with that. And I'm glad that you had the wisdom and self-knowledge to make that choice for yourself. Although I do want to emphasize, because I've been on and off anxiety meds my whole life. And I worry that for some people, the triumph and pride that they feel in getting off of them can prevent them from going back onto them if they really need to at some point. So it's awesome that you did. You know yourself better than I do, so this might be completely unnecessary. But if someday you need them again, listen what your body's telling you. And I kind of want to see you with some fake prison dads trying to recruit us to be your breakup buddy. If you narc me out, I'll cut you. You look really tired, Jellybean. If your room might keep you up all night. I know, we've already been up way later than I thought I was going to be. I thought I was going to be like, initially I was like, oh, I'm going to try and go at least a half hour. But I'm feeling pretty good. So it's almost 9 where I am, and my husband isn't working tomorrow, so I can probably sleep in tomorrow if I need to. So yeah, I'm going to try not to stay up too much later, but thank you. That's very thoughtful. I'm going to try not to be up too much later. I genuinely believe I wouldn't have a companion sitter without the help of your videos. I'll mention this because you say you're not a professional sitter. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's kind of when I meant, like, I think, like, I don't want to assign myself anything that isn't true or that I haven't earned, but I do think that people could see ASMR content creators as a type of mental health professional in some way. When I say I'm not a mental health professional, I mean it in the, like, certified, formally trained sense, which is kind of has its own meaning, and it's an important meaning. I have a work playlist and night playlist. The night one is obvious, but some ASMR videos help me at work. I am by myself trying to do some tricky troubleshooting. See, I'm jealous of that. It's very rare that I'm able to use ASMR to help me focus, because sometimes I try and listen to ASMR like I've done it, you know, in years past when I was trying to do homework or when I'm trying to get a project done. I'll listen to ASMR sometimes, and it never works out. It always just puts me to sleep. I've yet to find ASMR that doesn't put me to sleep if I listen to it long enough. I'd like to see you do a video where you're paging through a catalog and talk to yourself like you're supposed to plan a party or something. You're picking out decorations and food for it. Yeah, I that's the type of thing where I like those types of videos, and I feel like there are certain types of videos that I will make occasionally because I really like them. They don't necessarily get a ton of views when I do them, but that's okay. I like to squeeze those in because I think the people who do enjoy them, even if it's a smaller percentage of people, they still get a lot of enjoyment out of it. But that's making me think of Queen of Serene. In particular, I'm thinking of this like interior design video she did a while back. Look it up if you haven't seen it. Queen of Serene interior design, I think. But she's like flipping through a magazine and goes through some kind of, I forget if it's like carpet samples or something like that. But it's a really, really good classic video. And then ASMR Peaceful Pleasure, I believe is her name, has done some videos like that. She's really, really good at it, the kind of magazine or catalog flipping videos. You strike me as the kind of person who's almost never angry, but the handful of times you do get angry, body's after. So yeah, I will say that in recent years, I've probably had more instances of anger than I would like to think about. And that's had a lot to do with my prenatal and postpartum anxiety and depression, because it feels like I've been prenatal and postpartum for like almost 4 years. I'm just coming out of that. But I do feel like if any of you saw me when I was angry and lost my temper, you'd probably be like really sad. Like, oh, I didn't think you could be like that, JB. No, I think when I do get angry, it's probably unsettling. Part of me wants to joke about it, but I also kind of don't want to joke about it because it's something I do genuinely feel really bad about. Yeah, Patient Sailor, Die Hard. Patient Sailor is a gem. He is the production quality of his videos is incredible, not just from a technical standpoint, but just the amount. It's clear that he puts a level of thought and planning into his videos that very few other artists do. And he has a real knack for it. The artistic quality of his videos is amazing. And he has kind of a neat artistic sensibility too, as far as the topics he chooses or the content. Liz, hell yeah, I'm staying up working tonight because my husband is on tomorrow too. Yes. It's such a good feeling. It gets me through the whole week knowing that I'm going to get to. So I know this will be like some of you's thing and not your thing for some of you. But so an interesting thing about me is that I practically grew up in a church. My mother was the administrator at a local Unitarian Universalist church. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Unitarian Universalism, but I've heard some people describe it as like hippie Christianity. So it is essentially a Christian faith, although it does vary from most Christian faiths in a few really important ways, which I won't get into right now. The point being is that it tends to be most Unitarian churches tend to be, pretty open and, relatively liberal as far as churches go. Like I know I believe Unitarians were the first organized Christian religions to like start doing gay marriages back in the day. But anyway, I hung out with my mom at work a lot at the church. And then I also went to church every Sunday and like did Sunday school and everything every Sunday of my life, pretty much until I was 18. And then, only went very occasionally after that. I know there's one or two Unitarian churches here in Austin, and I have been wanting to go. I've been meaning to go some Sunday for like the entire 8 years that I've been here, and I haven't made it yet. Because for one reason or another, Sundays are just, I just haven't made it. I don't have a good excuse. But I've been wanting to go for me because it's something I got a lot of value out of when I was younger. And then now that I have kids too, it's something, if I check them out and I like the church, I think it's something I might like to have that for my kids. Just because of my positive associations I had with it when I was a kid. So yeah, it's this thing where Sunday is my husband's first day off of the week. So it's like every week I tell myself, this is the week I'm going to make it to church. And then every week I'm like, nope, I'm going to sleep. Speaking of work, though, better get back to it. Wedding photos won't edit themselves. Thanks for hanging out with us and being so accessible and responsive. Good luck with your editing, Liz. That's cool that you're editing wedding photos. I have a good friend who's a wedding photographer, and I love seeing her work. It's really cool. Speaking of work, though, better. What sort of video do you wish? Remember when I said I was going to speed through and catch up? Just kidding. What sort of video do you wish you could make if you didn't have your current time, budget, equipment limitation? That's a good question. I have so many ideas for videos. I feel like this is the type of thing I could talk about for a long, long time. And I am trying to catch up here. My biggest limitation is absolutely time. Taking the time to figure out all the logistics of something that might be a little more challenging, researching and writing the script. If I didn't have limitations, I would probably take on some like consistent professional team members, like people to help me research and write scripts and figure out the logistics of things. And yeah, I guess if I had like unlimited budget, I would have someone, I would hire an editor and maybe a director too. I think that would be amazing. I would love to have more people on my team, just helping with the production of the videos. It's been a little bit of a dream of mine for a long time to be able to get someone else to edit my videos, but I'm so particular about them that, my husband, Mr. Green, he's edited a few of my videos, but I just have a really hard time ceding control to that. So I guess that's my answer. I would make, there's not one type of video that I would make, but I would probably make videos that would be a lot more complex. I hope the ASMR might work for me in something like the way, oh, what is happening in my body right now? I don't know if you could hear that. I had hoped the ASMR might work for me in something like the electric pulse therapy. But it's not to be. The work list is mostly tapping noises, crinkling, and when I answer we hear about the other artist that meant by the name Jellybean. I think she could be too. Yeah, so Jellybean, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the other Jellybean. So she was a YouTuber before I was, but she had like, I think it was like a music channel or like a dance channel, I think it was. And she went under the name Jellybean Nose. But anyway, I started my ASMR channel as Jellybean Green, and then very shortly after, I don't think either of us knew about each other, but very shortly after, she started her ASMR channel just as Jellybean ASMR. And, she got very popular very quickly. So that was like a little bit of a thing. I got a lot of people accusing me of like stealing her name. And that was always really sad because people would leave me these really mean comments, be like, oh, I think like someone else already picked that name, or like, can't you just pick your own name instead of trying to like leech off someone else's popularity or something? And it made me so sad. It was horrible. It's like, I swear, I had no idea. I would never have chosen someone else's name on purpose. It was clear when I chose this name, I swear. But no, she, very talented artist and a lot of fans, a lot of viewers. But I don't know all the details of it because I've seen a few of her videos, but I didn't really follow her that closely. But I know that she was dealing with a lot of bullying and harassment. I don't want to talk about it too much, but there is a serious problem in our community. This is like a big bummer. I don't know how much you guys want to hear about this, but there's a really serious, persistent problem in our community with artists. And when I say bullying, I'm not just saying like people leaving mean comments, but some really scary, threatening stuff that messes up people's lives. So yeah, she, I know, dealt with some of that, and other artists have dealt with that. It's really sad and terrible. Takes place very well. Rational useless too. Great. Jason, I also use it since I work alone. Use. My cousin Vinny moment. I was raised Lutheran by the name of Unitarian churches. I wish that was more a non-denominational thing than an actual denomination itself. Yeah, so I think Unitarians get that. I feel like Unitarian churches are kind of the island of misfit toys of Christian faiths, if that makes sense. Like I remember at my church growing up, a lot of the families who joined our church, it would be something where, one partner grew up in one faith, another partner grew up in another faith. So the Unitarian church is kind of like their compromise, or it would be people who there were a lot of people who I think more considered themselves humanists, who didn't consider themselves super religious, but who appreciated kind of the unique benefits of that can come with being part of a community in a church. So yeah, it is often a lot more kind of casual and open-ended than what people think of when they think of a church. But, yeah, it's one of those things where if it sounds like it might be for you, then you should check it out. And if it's not, then it's not. You know yourself best. She almost got everyone's spam chats. Oh. Would you ever like to do a multi-person video, as in all in the same room, so to speak? I think you are asking, okay, all right, I'm almost caught up. So Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what you're asking me if I would like to do a collaboration video that involves another person or other people being physically with me in front of the camera instead of most collaboration videos, which are, recorded separately and then just edited together. And the answer is yes, I would definitely do something like that. I actually did at one point for a video I was making. I recorded some footage of me uh, performing some like ASMR triggers on my friend Rebecca because I needed that. It was like B-roll footage. It was something that I used uh, as part of a what is ASMR video, but then I also published a section of B-roll footage as well. But I would actually love to do stuff like that. I have for a while now had one of the projects I've been working on is that I would very much like to start working on doing live ASMR on people, sort of like in the same way that you might give a person a massage or something like that. I have this idea in my head that, Austin's a pretty funky town and it's kind of like eclectic and progressive and artsy in a lot of ways. And I think that if I get this down, like if I get really good at setting up and conducting these live ASMR sessions, I have a bunch of friends who volunteered for me to practice on. But my idea is that maybe if I get really good at this, then maybe I could find a like spa or salon in Austin who would be interested in maybe taking me on like one day a week or something like that, doing offering that as a service. But that reality is far away. I need to start. There's a lot of stuff, research and planning I need to do first. But so part of that, getting back to your question, part of that is that I do want to do more live ASMR, like on my friends, and those are my friends who have agreed to sit for that. Some of them have also agreed to be recorded. But then also I'd love to do a collaboration video or collaboration videos with other artists live and in person. It's just that's a really tricky thing to coordinate. I get more tingles from the less prepared lo-fi videos, to be honest. Not sure why. I totally get that. Some of my very favorite artists of all time would be considered lo-fi, I guess. It's hard to find the right word to describe those videos because I wouldn't want to say anything that sounds like negative. I think lo-fi is a good way to describe it. Like one of my favorite artists of all time is Jessica Cross ASMR, and she has a couple different channels. Jessica Cross ASMR, I think meditation ASMR or something like that. She published some stuff under there too, but her videos are, I think, would absolutely qualify as lo-fi. And she has some really great ideas behind a lot of her videos, but it seems pretty clear that she's doing a lot of improv and keeping things as far as props and stuff like that pretty simple. And I think I've probably watched more cumulatively. I've probably watched more of her than any other artist. They're so good. They just work for me in a way that most other artists don't. Jellybean is her K-pop dancing channel. Okay. Yeah, I'm just not that familiar with K-pop, but she had quit, but she's been on and off coming back. Yeah, like I remember when she quit and she published, there was like a really sad goodbye video that I did see. That was really sad and hard to watch. And then I do remember seeing, I think on Reddit, that she had come back. But then, I don't know, I'm really not that up on it. At least one person back in the day before ASMR was even called that, who was driven out because of a specific person spanning her frivolous lawsuits. Ooh, no, that has not been a problem with me yet. Don't get any ideas. Although, if someone wanted to slap me with lawsuits, the only thing they could get out of it would be my suffering. I don't have much you can take from me. But no, I know that is a big fear that a lot of artists have. That, I mean, it's a fear in this country in particular, frivolous lawsuits. But no, thus far I've not been threatened or harassed with anything of that nature. Are you comfortable? Like in general, in the grand scheme of things, I'm a pretty awkward person. I'm having a hard time getting comfortable because I think it's a big part of it. Some of you know I've had a lot of health problems for a long time, and a lot of those health problems have to do with inflammation. And I actually have that pretty under control now. I don't want to get into this too much, but I made some pretty dramatic changes to my diet in recent months that is actually just doing that, cutting like a lot of foods out of my diet. I don't eat most things now, but cutting a lot of stuff out of my diet has actually brought down my inflammation a lot, to the point where I've actually gone down. I'm not sure if it's a half or a whole shoe size. Like, that's how bad my inflammation was for so long. None of my shoes fit anymore. They're all too big now that it's gone down. But yeah, I think especially because I'm really sleep deprived right now, I'm getting a little bit more of that. So it's hard to stay in one position for a long time because everything just starts hurting. Sorry if I killed your chill by talking about how much my body hurts. I'm all right. What are some of your favorite triggers, and conversely some that you don't like? My favorite triggers are usually very simple, classic personal attention type stuff, especially if it involves face or head touching. Like, I'm gonna simulate a little bit of that right now. Like, especially the like, for some reason, if an artist is simulating like stroking their finger under my eye, like right there, probably, like gently stroking the face or like rubbing the temples. I love that. Sucker for that. One person who does that really, really well, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Yvette ASMR. If you are not, you should quickly just write that down or go over and subscribe to her real quick. She's one of my favorite artists, and she does a lot of that really simple, classic personal attention with like face touching. And I think she has a couple videos, and not that many artists have done this, but she has a couple of videos where the camera is set up in such a way so that it's like your head is resting on her lap and she's looking down at you. And this is going to sound kind of vain and negative. I think the reason that a lot of artists haven't done that is because it's a very intimidating camera angle. You know, most of us like to have our cameras up and pointed down a little bit because that's the most flattering look for your face. This is the hand motion for flattering, I guess, by the way. But yeah, so the idea of taking a camera and doing the exact opposite with it and bringing it down and pointing it up is, I will admit, I've been intimidated by that, but I've been wanting to try a video like that, because the few videos I've seen that are set up like that, where the viewer's head is like resting in the artist's lap, I think are so nice and just tender and comforting. I don't even know if I just answered the question that was asked or if I went off. Oh yeah, favorite triggers. So yeah, I think it can just be summed up to simple, direct personal attention with like face and head touching. It's my favorite stuff. I'm sorry my voice doesn't sound that great, by the way. I know my voice is a little raw sounding right now. So I am sorry if any of you are disappointed by that, but I am I've been fighting some sickness for a little while now. My two youngest kids are getting over the flu right now. So that's been a really big part of why I haven't slept much in the past couple weeks. Actually, hold on. I'm going to see if Mr. Green is awake, and I'm going to text him and see if he'll bring me some tea. If he's not, then I'll just disappear for a second so I can get it started myself. Could you hear that? I didn't know he was watching. He's watching the live stream. I don't know if any of you could hear that, but I just heard a voice from like downstairs say, "Yes, I'm awake. I will get you some tea." So I don't know if you think that's cute. I think it's adorable. I didn't know you were watching.
I asked you a question. You haven't got to it yet.
Oh, there he is. Oh no, this is killing me because I'm hearing myself in stereo now, and it's making my brain short out. Can you put your device on mute or something? Because right now everyone's just watching me stare at you, complaining about the stereo effect. Thank you. Okay. I just took so long to answer the question. Are you comfortable? What are some of your favorite triggers? How amazing would live ASMR be? I heard there's a place in London that does it. So yeah, I think that live ASMR is an interesting thing because like I've heard some people on ASMR subreddit say that they only get it ASMR in like live situations, or that they mostly get it in live situations. Or yeah, and a lot of us have memories of our, earliest ASMR experiences being live situations. But then also, so many people who watch ASMR and who enjoy ASMR have like, social issues or anxiety or shyness or stuff like that. So the neat thing about ASMR videos is that you can kind of watch them in this safe, controlled environment, like in your bed or something like that. And a lot of the comfort, I think, comes from that. Whereas I wonder if the live ASMR experience for some people, if that would kind of make a little bit of a hurdle to get over, The stream is lo-fi. It is. Can you start teaching? Can you start teaching a class at the UT Medical School for the doctors and training to properly trigger ASMR as part of their bedside manner? They haven't asked yet. I think it's probably because they're just too proud. So all you UT Austin doctors who are watching right now, you need to get over yourselves. No, I don't know. But I would actually, jokes aside, I would actually really enjoy finding opportunities in like an academic setting to talk about ASMR and to talk about what I do. Version of the heavy. Oh, there we go. Sorry if I missed a bitty update on your sister. I did briefly. I talked a little bit about basic summary is that she is doing okay. She is so grateful to all of you who donated her, or even just left encouraging messages. I can't tell you what a huge relief and impact it's made on her incredibly stressful life right now to have a little bit of a financial strain lifted. So thank you so much. She's doing okay right now. She actually just got out of the hospital, which is great. She's back home with her son. It's really hard for me being a couple thousand miles away, but she does have friends and other family members who are helping her out a lot. She's still got, I can't give too many details just for privacy reasons, because I don't know for sure what I have permission to share and what I don't. But she's still got a lot of challenges ahead, and her life moving forward for a while is going to involve a lot of monitoring and medical intervention to make sure that she stays safe and healthy. So yeah, I mean, the bottom line is that this is going to be a significant and ongoing concern for probably, possibly the rest of her life, which will hopefully be a very, very long time. But she's like, I guess, stable would be the best way to put it. Please do a video with that kind of angle. I love that you notice little details like that, because something like that makes a big difference. Yeah. No, I'm going to put that on my list. I really need to just get over myself and do it. T hubby, relationship goals. Dumbest dusty. My girlfriend texts me for tea too, or she'll throw a cat toy at me so my cat attacks me. One of my all-time favorite videos of yours and how I found your channel initially was the guided relaxation audio you recorded because it was raining, lots of breathing instructions and things like that. Anything more like that possibly coming in the future? Yes. Just a moment. My tea has entered the room. Thank you. Is it super hot? Thank you.
Yeah, the kettle. Seemed like this kettle was really loud.
It was loud. Thank you. You're the best.
I love you.
Love you. Okay, so can you see? What movie is this from? Someone was just mentioning it earlier. So it's super hot right now. I don't know if I can drink it without making really intense slurping sounds. So I'm going to try and wait a minute. So I know exactly the video you're talking about. It's called like Massage You to Sleep or something like that. But it was one of the very first videos I made. I remember making that in my old apartment. That was before I moved into my current home with my husband. But yeah, it was raining. So I set up in like kind of the vestibule there, right by my front door, where I could get the best rain sounds. And I was still using my Zoom H1, which is primarily meant to be a recorder, but I was using it as a microphone at the time. And it was just audio only. And it was like a audio only role play describing massage. And yeah, I've been meaning to do something like that again, because that's the kind of simple stuff that I really like. I've also been looking into, and I know this is kind of a hit or miss thing for some people, but I've been really wanting to add, like that was natural live rain sounds in the background, but I've been wanting to make more videos with different types of soothing nature sounds in the background, whether it's wind or rain or the ocean. I know not everyone loves those, but I love them. So I've actually been, I don't know if this is a thing or not, but I've actually always thought it would be cool if there was some app where I could add background sounds to my ASMR videos, where I could start an ASMR video and then choose to like layer in wind sounds in the background or something. I can't believe it's 9:30. Thanks for so much. So I'm going to say right now, I'm having such a nice time with all of you, and I'm so thankful that you're here. I was honestly a little bit nervous that no one was going to show up, but I'm so, so happy that you're here. And I honestly could probably talk for another 2 hours, but I'm going to try and cut myself off at 9:45, which is in like 13 minutes. Just because I really need to try and get some sleep. Thanks for streaming, JB, for channel being awesome. Hope you get to sleep in tomorrow. Thank you, Joe. You're awesome too. Very nice, very nice. Jurassic Park, yeah. That's the correct answer to the question I asked a while ago. So behind, please. Hope to get a favorite video. Jurassic Park. Hey, I guess that mug means you already have a prompt for that baby velociraptor cleaning video. I know. Yeah, so with stuff like that, I think if I start to have an idea that I feel like is going to involve buying a lot of stuff, like a lot of props and equipment and stuff like that, I tend to try and kind of space those out, because as it is, I don't know how apparent it is, but as it is, I already put a lot of the money that I earn from YouTube back into the channel. And I know that's kind of what I should be doing to some extent, but I'm also trying to be a little more, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm kind of trying to be a little more, I don't want to say tactical. You're all just going to sit there and wait while I think of the right word. I'm trying to be a little more, no, it's not frugal, but basically careful or thoughtful, strategic. Strategic is the word. I'm trying to be a little more strategic as far as, I do want to buy stuff for you guys to make you guys great videos, but I also want to, keep my channel strong by being smart with my money and also finding opportunities to reuse props and to kind of look around at all the stuff I have, because I have a lot of stuff, and find opportunities to use old things in new ways. And yeah, so that's something I want to do for you all as well. Spearmint or peppermint? I can't help wondering. So I think what Keith is referring to is that I made a post recently on social media about how I've been drinking almost exclusively just peppermint tea. Like, I've been having a lot of times 2 to 3 mugs of peppermint tea a day for a few months now. And I wrote that I decided that I was going to finally be really adventurous and try something different. And I posted a picture of the new box of tea I bought, and it was spearmint tea. So that's a good question. This smells like peppermint. He knows that peppermint's my favorite, so I'm sure that's what he gave me. Yeah, this is peppermint tea. All right. I'm really nervous about slurping and horrifying you all, so I'm going to take these out for a second so I can take a sip. Hold on. It's really hot. That actually needs a few more minutes to cool down so I don't burn my whole face off. All right. Can you hear me okay? We appreciate you and look forward to your future content. Thank you. And Christine, get some rest, and hope the kids get better soon too. I know they seem to be getting better, but they're, especially my youngest, is at that age where he's sick more often than he's healthy. His immune system is kind of going through the gauntlet right now that kids' immune systems go through at that age. Don't feel bad about using your money for other things. Videos maintaining your health. Still technically part of this new shit. Thank you. Yeah, I feel that way too. Or I think that way, I should say. Like, I know that is logically true, but it's hard to feel that or to allow myself. It's probably trigger for at least some of this. The slurping. Oh god, the slurping. I know, I really wanna. I've been wanting this tea for so long, and now it's like a little too hot to drink. It's like torture. It reminds me of, I don't know how many of you have seen that Twilight Zone. I think it's called Time Enough at Last. The one where, this old grump, all he wants is just time to be left alone and read. No spoilers if you have seen it. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. Or, yeah, you should just watch it. But, yeah. All right. So I know I said I was going to go at 9:45. Knowing me, though, I always take a while to say goodbye, so I'm probably going to start trying to wrap stuff up now. I want to thank all of you so much for stopping by and spending some time with me. I've I've been having a really tough week, and I was a little bit nervous about this night. I was afraid that I was just going to be tired and no fun, and that I would be like a disappointment to you all. But I really enjoyed this. This was a good time. This was good for my heart. I hope you all enjoyed it. I do want to try and probably do one more stream this month since it's Patron Appreciation Month. And invariably, when I do live streams, there are people who wish they could have gone, but then we're not able to for some reason or another. So I am hoping to do one more this month if my schedule and circumstances allow. So if you have any other questions, maybe you can write them down for the next time we hang out. Thank you, Brentacorn and Whisper Science and JS. So the thing I need to decide now is whether or not I want to publish this publicly on my channel. Obviously, the live stream itself was just for us. I'm not sure whether or not, because YouTube will probably give me the option to just publish this publicly. I don't know. I think I'm too tired to really decide whether or not that's a good idea. If y'all have any thoughts, then let me know. But yeah, this has been a lovely evening. Thank you for spending this time with me. And thank you for making this streaming session what it was. It wouldn't have been just like it was if it weren't for you being here and your questions and your interactions. You're all such a really genuinely lovely. I'm so tired. You're all such a genuinely lovely group of people. And I'm so thankful for you. Thank you for thinking of your patrons. Thank you for being my patrons. Could be nice for you to see what they're missing. Yeah. You could have had this. Thank you so much. You put it on the Patreon channel. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely upload it to my channel, at least as an unlisted link, which I will share with patrons who didn't get to be here if they want to watch it. I just need to decide whether or not I want to then make it public, just for any old viewer. Good night, Caius. Night, Virgil. Seabrain, thanks. I came in late, but I'll try to go back and listen to YouTube. Let's do that. Yeah. So once I do this, assuming I can do it properly, I'm going to have it upload the video to my channel. It should be unlisted. I will send that out via a Patreon post, which I think you all get in your email, so that you can watch the rest of it if you want. Publish it for public, but after about a week of that. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'll probably do something like that. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much. I'm gonna boop your nose again, if that's okay. Boop. That was more like the bridge of your nose. Boop. Thank you so much for being here. I had a great time with y'all. And I'm going to say good night now. I hope you all relax. And I hope whatever time it is where you are, I hope the rest of your evening or your day is awesome. And I hope you're taking good care of yourself, because you're awesome and you deserve it. Thank you so much for your support and your kindness. It makes such a huge difference in my life, and I'm so grateful for it. So thank you, and good night.